This movie operates under the assumption that having a machine that prints copies of Robert Pattinson would be a problem. I just got off the phone with Office Depot after an hour of being on hold trying to figure out if I could get one of these machines just for them to tell me that that's insane and that's not real. So honestly, I feel a little scammed. Hi y'all, SnarkyJay cosplay here. As of the time of this video's recording, we are just a couple days out from the release of the upcoming film Mickey 17. Mickey 17 is the next film from director Bong Joon Ho, whose name might sound familiar to you because he's the guy behind Parasite, and this film stars none other than the incomparable Robert Pattinson. It's got a stacked cast rounded out by folks like Mark Ruffalo, Steven Yeun, Toni Collette, and Naomi Ackie. I had the pleasure of being invited to an early screening for it last night, and after taking some time to gather my thoughts, I can tell you that this is 100% a worthwhile film, which is so weird to say. And as somebody who frequently implies that you could pretty much have almost the same exact experience watching a film at home, this one I would actually recommend going to see in theaters for a number of different reasons, and we're gonna get into that in just a few minutes. But we're gonna kick off this spoiler-free review with my rating for this film, which is an 8 out of 10. Let's get right into it. So Mickey 17 follows Mickey Barnes, who is known as an expendable. Essentially, while a portion of the human race are trying to colonize an ice planet, Mickey is the guy you send over and over because every time he dies, they just print out a new version of him containing the memories of the old version, so he learns from his experiences, but he is continuously dying over and over. And that goes awry in a number of ways. In my opinion, I think the plot here is actually incredibly interesting and a pretty unique story, and what I like about Mickey 17 is that from the trailers, it seemed to be pretty straightforward, but there's actually a lot more moving parts to this film than you would originally think there would be. This does sort of detract from the film at times, because even though the film's runtime is just a little over 2 hours at 2 hours and 19 minutes, I would say that you could probably cut about 25 to 30 minutes out of this movie, just because there's some things that feel like they really didn't need to be in there. Again, it doesn't detract from the film's experience as a whole, but it does 100% make this the kind of movie that, honestly, as somebody who frequently rewatches movies, I don't think I would watch this one again. I will say that Mickey 17 is an incredibly entertaining movie. It's a lot funnier than I thought it would be, which is kind of weird, and what I like about it is that it's not the cheap Marvel humor that we consistently complain about here. But it's also a movie that plays on different themes that can be a little heavy to think about. The great thing about Mickey 17 is that it doesn't take itself too seriously when it doesn't need to, but when it does a fantastic job of really pulling you into the story. Mickey 17 does the really important work of making the viewer feel like they're part of the movie. You really feel like this is being shown to you and not told to you, which is really rare in modern cinema because I find that a lot of modern day writers now really want to tell you and not show you, but there's a lot of nuance in this film that I really, really like. And a lot of that nuance I 100% think can be chalked up to the performances. Toni Collette is incredible in everything she does. Naomi Ackie and Steven Yeun both bring a really great presence to this film, but of course the star of this film is Robert Pattinson, and he really is a star in this one. Look, I already know that I have said entirely too much about Robert Pattinson on this channel. I've had a thing for him for a very long time, but the fact of the matter is that I think a lot of the internet gets off on dogging Robert Pattinson because they didn't like his Batman, and it's fun to hate Twilight. But Robert Pattinson is actually a phenomenal actor. If you watch him in films like Mickey 17, The Devil All the Time, Good Time, The Lighthouse, you find that he's the kind of actor that gets completely lost in the role that he's playing. He is so phenomenal in this film because Mickey is an interesting character. You get a lot of different aspects of him that make him seem like he really is giving you different people at certain parts of the film, and I think that's fantastic. He's actually an incredibly sympathetic character. He never feels like he is the butt of the joke. In fact, I would argue that you tend to side with him over the people around him because he really is a sympathetic character, and Robert Pattinson's performance 100% brings those sympathetic feelings right home. But real quick, what does it say about me that they gave him this terrible ass haircut and I was still like, I can fix him?
Stop it. Get some help.
So plot and performances aside, I also really like the sci-fi aspects of this film. The cinematography in this film is also really great. I find that the scenes on the ship, even though they tend to be pretty homogenous, it's kind of hard to make things look really different when you're either on an ice planet or in a ship. But the point is that there was an effort taken in the lighting here, in the styling, and artistically, I think this is a phenomenal example of modern sci-fi. The ship designs are really cool. The costume designs are also fantastic. They're utilitarian and they reflect our history on Earth, but they also look otherworldly. And there's also some really cool creature effects and designs in this, and I can really appreciate things that look organic but otherworldly. Mickey 17 has some aspects of it that feel like they would pay homage to other sci-fi films, but it is an incredibly unique film. It's hard to make something original these days, but that's what I feel like the director has done here. That's what I feel like Robert Pattinson has brought with his performance. Everybody in this film, I think, contributed to something that feels deeply original. I feel like we spend a lot of time on YouTube in comment sections bitching about Hollywood doesn't do anything original, it's all live action remakes, it's all reboots, remakes, whatever. We complain about how tired Hollywood is, but Mickey 17 feels like a deeply original experience. It's not a perfect film by any means, but I will say that it is definitely worth watching. And earlier I mentioned that it was worth watching in theaters, and I definitely feel like this one is worth buying a theater ticket for. I'm not even saying that because they were printing out Robert Pattinson's and we got to see plenty of him. That's not why. But like I said, the cinematography is worth experiencing, and I also think the sound design in this film is actually really good. The score and the music within it are great, and I feel that that is best experienced sitting in a theater seat where you can really appreciate the sound and the sights with a good sound system and a real big screen. Mickey 17 feels like a deeply original sci-fi movie that, yes, does have what feel like some pretty obvious callbacks, at least to real life situations that we're living in today, some real life sentiments. But even having acknowledged that, I don't think that any of the messaging in this film, at the end of the day, what movie doesn't have something to say? It really doesn't feel heavy-handed, and to be honest, based on a lot of the political bitching we get at us in other films, I don't think Mickey 17 feels like it really commits any crimes in regards to storytelling. I honestly really liked this movie, and it's kind of weird that I get to sit down and enjoy something that is original, because a lot of what I talk about on this channel is Star Wars, is Marvel, is DC, so even when I give a good review, on the off chance that I get to give a good review, I'm typically talking about something that's based in some comic book or video game or whatever. But Mickey 17 stands alone. It has to build a story and build an arc and build out who Mickey Barnes is very quickly, and I think that that is the real genius of this film, is that it builds a world, builds a situation, and builds a character that are all deeply unique and very original, and it does so very quickly and does a fantastic job of making you care about all these things. That's really hard to do, especially in a time where we are increasingly dependent on films and content that fit into some greater universe. It's a product of its time, and yet it's not garbage. It's actually a really great film. I think it's sci-fi for the modern age. It's accessible, but it's also really clever in a lot of really awesome ways. Cinematically, it looks great, sounds great. I love the designs in it, costume design, set design, all that kind of stuff. It feels like it does a great job of world building. Plot-wise, again, I think we could probably shave about 25 to 30 minutes off of this film, just because it does involve a lot of moving parts, way more moving parts than you would anticipate, but it does paint a pretty good picture, and even though it does feel 25 minutes too long, Mickey 17 has a great plot, it's really original, and even if sci-fi doesn't appeal to you, the story is deeply human in its own way. So again, Mickey 17 gets an 8 out of 10 from me. It releases as of the time of this recording on Friday, and if anybody finds where I can get a Robert Pattinson printer, please call me. I have ideas. And that's all from me. I've been SnarkyJay. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. For more SnarkyJay, be sure to check me out on Instagram. And if you'd like to support me, this channel, and my content creation, do check out and consider subscribing to my Patreon for exclusive photo shoot sets and cosplay content. I'll add links to all of those in the description below. And let me know your thoughts on Mickey 17 in the comments below.